watch out. All the geeks are ruling this town. All the geeks are ruling this town.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Should I hold it like this?
It's good like that.
This is a microphone. Microphone.
It's a microphone.
You're going to sync the audio up later, aren't you?
Exactly.
You fancy fuck. Because I'm getting this equipment too, but yeah.
You just need your iPhone. Actually, iPhone aren't the best.
What's up?
What's not my bank balance?
Not your what?
Not my bank balance.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You asked me what was up.
Definitely. So, how's the con for you today? Or this weekend?
It's been alright.
That's it?
Not as good as last year, I would say.
Oh, you met interesting people, right?
I met very interesting people. I mean, if you're... Yeah, it's always a great show. Is it still on? Alright. It's always been a great show. For socializing, and Montreal's a great city, so...
Can you tell us a little bit about your past project so we can situate you in time?
Oh, we could be professional.
Oh,
I'm known for horror comics. I did 30 Days of Night was my big thing that gave me a career. So Vampires in Alaska. Yeah, I do horror comics and stuff. Lots of individual new miniseries and things. Done a little bit of Batman, a little bit of Gotham by Midnight, Fell with Warren Ellis, Wormwood Gentleman Corpse, Welcome to Hoxford. Bullshit.
what
Lots
about
of
your
stuff.
future project? You had something on Kickstarter, right?
I recently did Kickstarter for a book called Dagon, which will be an adaptation of Lovecraft.
Just a second, this jackass has been hijacking our interviews.
He's been jacking them?
Jack? No. Alright, so yeah, upcoming projects.
I'm doing adapting Lovecraft's Dagon short story into a comic.
And it's gonna be amazing.
It is.
You're
I'm just a little bit
artist for this project.
yeah. And I can tell you this on camera. So everyone's asking, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they don't know anything about what I'm doing usually. So I had to explain from the ground level up. Oh, it's Dagon, an adaptation of a thing. Because most people don't know because they missed the Kickstarter here. So I'm telling you to tell everyone else.
It's an exclusivity.
It'll be out in September, and you can buy it from me online and in person
On your website.
on my website,
What is it?
78squid.com.
Right.
That's my store. My website is templesmith.com.
So
But don't go there. The store's cooler.
you're telling me that I'm too serious.
You're very serious.
Okay, it's not your first interview, of course.
No.
No? What's the weirdest
But I like
question?
you, and I had drinks with you, and you gave me a butt
Yes,
plug.
of course.
So
Can you
this
show it?
just feels weird now. No, I didn't bring it with me.
Why? You said you would bring it with you all the time. You had it in your
It's
pocket
it's
yesterday.
back at the room, man. That's for the room, right?
It's
That's
because
what
you used it and you're shy. You think I would notice.
Well, I'm hoping to invite some people back to use it tonight. So. Thank you for making it smell funny.
Oh yeah, that's right. We worked hard on that.
No one's ever bought me a butt plug before. It's my first butt plug, so I'll let you know how it goes, I guess.
Well, that's a funny story because there was somebody else at the bar, right? When I gave you this butt plug, there was somebody else at the bar there. You tweeted
At the
about
bar.
it yesterday.
All right, I don't. Yeah, some guy. I don't know his name actually.
Kane.
The guy who played Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
He asked about your butt plug,
Yeah.
and
He was there and he said.
he wouldn't touch it though. This is weird.
He
I
said,
asked
he said
him
he used it before I gave it to you.
He said he used it.
Yeah.
Well, did you buy it off him?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's a gift, man. I'm not telling you.
Well, it's a bit different if you gave me a famous butt plug.
Oh yeah, that's true. I wanted to sign it before, but I wanted you to sign it and give it back to me. But
I can do that.
No, but you know what?
Come get it tonight.
I would rather you keep it now. It's part of a legacy. It's like it's.
Well, I haven't used it.
Well,
I mean, you can't have it back.
that's
It's
your.
not.
Like you said to me, that's between you and your butt, man.
I wouldn't give you a second-hand butt plug. You won't tell me if you do.
So, like I said, you had a lot of interviews before, but
I have done a few in my time, yes.
is there a question you always dreamed of somebody asking you and they never did?
No, mostly I dream of the ones I don't want to be asked.
Like what?
Like, when is Fell coming back? But that's a nice one, actually. But what did you think of the movie?
Oh.
I'm not saying, because it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what everyone else thinks. Why does it matter about what I think? Then it's like, my emotional state to do with this, that's my business. I don't give a shit. And it was nice. And I don't have a right to slag off anything. Like, who gets a movie made out of their books? So I'm rambling now, but like you
No,
asked.
it's fine. It's fine.
I don't have any.
You could the uninteresting part.
You could ask me if I'm a boxers or briefs guy.
Yeah, are you a boxer? Or
I'm a boxers guy,
Yeah.
but I have experimented with boxer briefs,
Okay.
which are like the combo.
Okay. And what do you like about it? Is it the support?
They're comfy, it's some support, it keeps it placed well,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I miss the roominess of boxers.
Do you hang left or right?
Depends on the pants, really.
Yeah.
I'd say, let me think about that. I'd probably hang to the left. Yeah, but I'd probably say I'm a lefty.
Usually it goes with your hand, right?
Yeah, I am a left-handed. I'm left-handed.
So it hangs on the right. That's it.
No, it hangs left.
At the left.
I'm a lefty.
Like, how can you reach it? Well, anyway.
Left hand hanging to the left with the left. You're making this far more complicated than it needs to be. Both of my hands can reach my genitals.
Okay.
I will uncomplicate that
That's
for
a
you.
new concept for me.
I'm sorry if it is.
Well, Ben, thank you very much for talking to us and
Oh, that's it?
making these weird. Well, you want to talk about your boxers more?
No, you asked me what question, so.
What else? What
I
else
don't
do you like? You
Uh,
side sleeper or back sleeper?
I'm a side sleeper. I like the fetal position, and I like sleeping on my front as well.
You cry yourself to sleep, or it's just?
On occasion, but not normally. No, I'm not naturally a crier.
And what's your stance on rabbit? We had this discussion last.
Rabbit's tasty. The rabbit last night was alright. It was a little dry,
No, but
I do like rabbit. Rabbit tastes great.
But the animal itself.
Yes, rabbits are vermin in Australia.
Yeah, that's what they don't.
We make biological weapons to kill them. Have you heard of myxomatosis?
No.
Okay, it's a government-developed laboratory virus disease thing that cut the rabbit population in half. But then now they're coming back, so
Yeah, but you said
they kill everything.
You said that rabbits were vermin.
They
and
are
you
vermin.
proceed
They're
to
rodent.
show me pictures of like other animals that are way cuter.
that are not vermin.
They're like, yeah, but the rabbit kills these animals. Don't you think
Yes.
these are cute? These are cute. And
Yeah.
You showed me. You proceed to
Quokkas.
show me a
Yeah.
few pictures. Can
Quok-
you name them
Uh,
so people can Google image them?
Judy and Daryl. But they were called quokkas. I don't know
Yeah.
what their names were, but I'm not that familiar with them all. No, they're quokkas, and they live off an island from where I'm from, in the city of Perth, on an island called Rottnest. And they're only on that little island now because things like rabbits and foxes, well, foxes eat them, rabbits would destroy their habitat, so
That's too serious.
introduced species suck.
Do you have any funny facts?
Yes, 72% of men name their penises.
Yeah, I saw that on your Twitter.
I
Where
read that
does
the other
come
day.
from?
I don't know, I read it online.
Do you have a name for yours?
Je suis présentement assis à côté de notre ami Mike Rooth. On a eu la chance hier On a eu la chance de fêter les 40 ans de Mike Rooth avec lui hier soir. C'était comme genre le Last Supper un peu pour moi. Tu sais, il y avait tous les apôtres étaient dans la crèche. Hey Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks a lot. So, what are you drawing right now?
Right now, I'm doing a take on Sabretooth for this fan here. He has an amazing, huge project going on where all of these 11 by 17 posters are going to be interacting with each other in some way. It's all X-Men themed stuff. And so he's requested Sabretooth, which is great because Sabretooth is one of my favorite characters. And yeah, he's got all these amazing artists attached to this project, so it's been kind of exciting to work on. To know that I'm going to be kind of alongside of a lot of really cool artists who are doing it. So yeah, it's been fun, man. I love drawing Sabretooth, and so I'm kind of doing my own kind of more barbarian, like kind of a medieval almost take on Sabretooth as opposed to the classic Marvel representation of him.
Cool, man. you've been to the Montreal Comic Con like pretty much every year. Like
I've been. This is my fourth or fifth year in a row. I'm never really straight on that. I think it's fourth or fifth year. But yeah, the first year I came, it was actually the first Comic Con I ever did was Montreal, and this place has always treated me very well. It's always been very special to me. This city. So the people who run this show are some of my favorite people in the world, and they, they're just awesome. They run a great show, and they make everybody happy as much as they can. And I just love this show. It's been amazing to watch it grow, and I think as an artist I have grown with the show. In 2013 they asked me to do the poster for their Ottawa show, and it went over really well. So since then I've been doing posters for them basically ever since. This is the first year I haven't done a poster for them, though. They had Darwin Cook do the poster instead, which was awesome. And so I mean, I just love working for these guys, and it gives me a chance to come to Montreal, see these awesome people.
So far in your career as an artist, what would be like your biggest pride? Like, what was the biggest thing that happened in your career? Like, as a
it's I mean, I think for me, like, the dream of being a comic book artist was always too big of a dream for me to ever imagine it to be real. So the fact that I get to do anything in comics is amazing. But some standout moments for sure were one year I was at Fan Expo in Toronto, and I had my work set up, and some fellow stopped by my table. I didn't know who he was. We started talking about Conan and stuff that I like about comics, and then he really loved my work, and I didn't know who he was. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "So what do you want to do with comics?" I said, honestly, my dream, it's a very small dream, but my dream as a kid was to get a pin-up in Savage Sword of Conan, because that was one of my favorite comics as a kid, and I always loved that book because it always had guest artists do pin-ups in the back, and I vowed one day as a kid that I would get a pin-up in Conan. And so he laughed when I told him that, and he says, "Well, you know what, Mike?" He said, "I think I can make that happen for you." I said, "Oh, really? Who are you?" He said, "Oh, my name's Patrick Thorpe, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Dark Horse Comics." So that was this random moment that happened that only can happen at a Comic-Con. And so he said to call me. He said, "Call me when you get back from the show, and I'll see if I can get you a pinup gig." And so I called him when I got back, and he was true to his word. He gave me a pinup gig, and less than a year later, my work appeared in the pages of Savage Sword of Conan. And so it was a huge bucket list moment for me, a huge triumph for me. And it doesn't really get bigger than that, but ironically, since then, bigger things have happened. I've done now I've done a Conan cover, Red Sonja and Conan, coming out in August, a variant cover for that new crossover series that they're doing with Dynamite Comics and Dark Horse. And I've done a lot of variant covers for Image Comics, and for a lot of indie guys. So life is really good, and life is full of surprises. I have some other stuff on the way, but certainly that first Conan gig was like a huge thing for me. That was a big feather in my cap for sure.
Okay, let's go into cheesy questions now. Best superhero that you like? Okay, you said Sabretooth is he's like your best one to draw, or he's your best one of all time?
Drawing Sabretooth, he's my favorite villain, I think. My favorite Marvel villain. I have the first appearance of Sabretooth, which was like issue 14 of Iron Fist. It came out like the year I was born, and I love John Byrne, and he created this character, and so I love drawing him. But my favorite superhero, my favorite character has always been the Thing, Ben Grimm from the Fantastic Four. I think when I was a kid, I watched that Thing cartoon that used to come on, and he used to do crossovers with Fred Flintstone and things like that, and I love the cartoon. And then eventually I got into reading the comics, and the Thing has always been he was always like Marvel's kicking boy. Anytime something was going to go wrong in Marvel Comics, or they wanted to give somebody a hard day, it was either Peter Parker or it was the Thing. And I think I grew up with a couple of hard days in my life, and it wasn't always easy being a fat red-haired kid growing up. And so I got picked on a lot and bullied a lot. And the Thing kind of had that in his life too. And so the Thing his struggles were my struggles, and I like to think that my struggles were his. And I feel like, as silly as it sounds, I feel like that character actually got me through a lot of hard times in my childhood. And so he's always been very close. But ironically, the Thing is a character that I love to draw, but because he's so important to me, I always kind of screw up the drawing. It's like too much pressure, you know what I mean? So I think I think if I draw the thing like right, like once out of 9 times, I feel like I've done a good job, because there's just something about that guy that's like there's a look, and if you don't quite get it, it's just a rock monster. But
So it's like if someone would ask you to draw yourself, because you guys are bonding together, you know?
Yeah, I really, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but we all have our things that we connect with when we're children, and for me it was the Thing. It was his struggles. My favorite comics when I was a kid were the Marvel 2-in-1s, and then eventually the Thing got his own ongoing like solo series, and in that he became a pro wrestler, and I was a huge wrestling kid, so like having a comic book where the Thing had to like wrestle and stuff, and like deal with the problems of steroids and all these things that wrestlers deal with, it was pretty cool. Like it was pretty neat way to tell a story with that character. Plus it had Ron Wilson and John Byrne drawing it for the most part, and they were huge influences on my I love their art so much. So it was the Thing is huge for me for sure. But there's a lot of characters. Like for DC, my favorite character was Green Arrow. I just love the way Mike Grell drew him, and the Longbow Hunter series was tremendous. And I loved Lobo because Simon Bisley drew Lobo, and Simon Bisley's like a god to me, like in the business. So yeah, man, there's a few of those characters that really stand out for sure.
Last night, while we were celebrating your 40th birthday,
Yes.
we got to talk about, because I in the 90s, well, late 80s, early 90s, I was a big wrestling fan as well, and we got to talk about Ric Flair and WCW, and what would be like your key match, like that you will remember like for the rest of your life, that you watched when you were younger in the WWF.
WWF? That's oh man, there's so many. I think for me, like it's not everyone's favorite WrestleMania, but my favorite WrestleMania was WrestleMania 4, because that was the one that Randy Savage won the world title. Randy Savage was my favorite WWE wrestler, and the WWF wrestler, I guess, in those days. And you know, he was he was always number 2 to Hulk Hogan, and the fact that everyone thought Hogan was going to win that tournament, because it was a tournament. Randy Savage had to wrestle 3 times that day, and he won the tournament and won the world title. And it was a huge thing, because I never thought I'd see Macho Man with the belt, and it was so that was a big one. And then, you know, he was a great champ, and then a year later he fought Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 5 and lost. But it was but for a moment there, Macho Man was the king. He was the top of the heap, and that was something I'll never forget for sure. And then, you know, also WrestleMania 3, his match with Ricky Steamboat, of course, everyone talks about that one as being one of the greatest matches of all time, and it certainly is. I was always mad at that match though, because Randy had, I mean, I know wrestling is a story, but like Randy had Steamboat beat for a 17 count after the flying elbow, but the referee was knocked out, and so eventually Ricky Steamboat got the small package and defeated Savage for the Intercontinental title. But that was a big standout match for me for sure.
Well, you probably remember the big match, Ultimate Warrior against Macho Man.
Yeah. Well, there was that match really pissed me off, actually, because that was supposedly the retirement match of Randy Savage. It was basically the career versus career, and Savage lost. And that match pissed me off because Savage gave Ultimate Warrior 5 flying elbows. And in those days, no one got up from the flying elbow. No one. And so the fact that he gave Warrior 5 to basically punish him, and Warrior still kicked out, and then Warrior dragged the end of that match and gave him like all those flying shoulder tackles, and eventually he stood on Macho Man's chest with 1 foot and pinned him for a 3 count. And I stood in the bar that we were watching it, and I ranted and screamed because it was so ridiculous that Macho Man would lay down that way. But it turns out in the end that was Macho Man's way of that's the way he wanted that match to go. Randy Savage used to write his own scripts about his wrestling matches, and so that's the way he wanted to make the Warrior look great, was to actually go down in total defeat to the Warrior. So as I get older and we get smart to the business, I realized that what Macho Man gave us was actually not a bad match. It was a gift to the Ultimate Warrior. It was to make him look like something special by laying down and being totally defeated by him, like utterly destroyed by the Warrior. So, but I remember that match.
It's true. It's after his career that we realize how much he gave to wrestling.
Man.
You know, he's a legend. Unfortunately, he passed away like 4 or 5 years ago now.
It broke my heart, man.
Yeah,
it broke my heart. And what really broke my heart was the fact that he was on the verge of a comeback. Not so much in the sport of wrestling, but just he had separated himself from wrestling for so long. There was so much animosity and hatred and things like that were attached to the Macho Man with the WWF. And so the fact that he was actually making peace and making amends and coming around, like I knew he was on his way back. And then he had that terrible heart attack. Or I think it was a heart attack while he was driving, and so it was just luckily his wife survived, but it was awful. And I mean, so many. That's the thing about wrestling that's so hard for me now is so many of my heroes are dead. Like Road Warrior Hawk was a tremendous hero of mine, and when he passed away, again, right after finding the light and getting clear and getting his demons under control, he went to bed one night and never woke up. And my heroes are all dying. My heroes are all passing away. And so wrestling isn't. I don't watch wrestling anymore because it kind of hurts too much.
Yeah,
I've lost
what it used to be.
I've lost too many of my great. Like I don't like to mention it because it's very controversial. But but Chris Benoit was like my favorite wrestler because I watched his career from the Stampede Wrestling days, and the tragedy of the end of his life is something that will haunt me forever. It was. For a man to work so hard to get that world title match and then to lose his belt a few months later and then he basically committed suicide after murdering his wife and child. It's the most tragic thing in the world, but it means that his record is stricken clean. There never was a Chris Benoit. There's never any history for him now. And so it makes me sad because I watched his career my whole life, and he was only a few years older than me, and it was very hard. It was very hard. And because of the circumstances of his death, it's not something that's easy to talk about. A lot of fans will never forgive what he's done. Certainly.
How many hits these guys get like per night? When they're fighting.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
they're doing like dangerous stuff. I mean, I'm not excusing what he did.
No.
But.
I don't think his accomplishments in the ring, because wrestling's fictional. I don't think his fictional accomplishments should be ignored because of the tragedy of his end. I mean, a lot of guys do horrible things and we still remember them. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things. But Eddie Guerrero's death was a tremendous blow, and then Chris Benoit couldn't recover from his friend's death, and that's why he's gone now too. So, I think so many of my heroes are gone, and. It just makes it really hard to enjoy the sport now because so many of those guys that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame never will be, and so many guys who are still alive who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame will never get that. We'll never get there. Like
see how busy he is. He has to sign autograph while he gives an interview, while he has to draw a commission. This is Mike Rooth's life, guys. Like that's how it works. How sweet of him, eh?
This is me at my best. This is when I'm doing a Comic-Con, especially in Montreal. It brings out the very best in me, and it's something I can't describe because in my life outside of this, I work full time as a janitor and a superintendent of an apartment building, and so when I escape to come to a Comic-Con, I am alive. I am the maximum Rooth. I am as close to God as I can get, and I'm really at my best at these things. So it's a real fantasy to be here. It's a real privilege too. I know that I'm lucky to do what I do because everyone else has to work a job that they don't like. A lot of people work jobs they don't like. I currently do as a way to pay my rent because the comic business isn't always one that's lucrative. It's not always one that keeps the lights on while you're working. So this is like my favorite version of myself is when I come to these things.
Well, Mike, you're not close to God. You're the Viking God.
Thanks, man.
There you go, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, Viking stuff is probably the biggest passion in my life. And, my wife and I think we talked about it. My wife and I are working on a comic called Widow's Wake, which we're hoping to release at Toronto's Fan Expo this summer, if all goes well. But like I said, we both work 9-to-5 jobs. And it's a kind of thing where, if the opportunity comes to break away and get a few hours on a project, we do. But the project's been delayed a long time now because of real life getting in the way. But when it comes out, I hope it will impress everybody. I hope it will live up to the hype because I've never had so much support for a thing in my life. I mean, like I say, I do a lot of fan art. I do a lot of different things for people. And you can put up a drawing of Harley Quinn or a drawing of Batman and get lots of likes on Instagram or Facebook. But what I'm finding out now is when I'm putting up my Widow's Wake stuff, because every Wednesday I put up Widow's Wake Wednesday, little snapshots and character sketches from my comic. And when I do that, I get a stronger response than when I put up pictures of popular characters. And there's no really way for me to articulate in any language what that means to me and how that feels. It's a huge thing. It's a really huge thing. So, yeah.
Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram and Facebook. I'm just Mike Rooth on Facebook. Instagram has been a tremendous. I'm Uncouth Rooth on Instagram and Twitter. And every Wednesday, Widow's Wake Wednesday. It's just a little treat I give myself. You know, you get really busy sometimes in this business. If you don't take time for yourself, you begin to forget why you like doing it. And so for me on Wednesdays, I try to take a bit of time for myself and either post a drawing that's already existing or do a drawing specifically for Widow's Wake Wednesday that, you know, appeals to the people who are excited about the book. And it seems like there's a lot of people excited about the book. My only fear is that I'm going to let them down.
You won't. I'm pretty sure you won't.
Well, I'm excited about it. It's like I said, the Viking stuff is so much passion for me. I've always loved that stuff. My wife and I went on our honeymoon to Lanzo Meadows in Newfoundland on the northern tip where the Vikings landed. I mean, that was a dream of mine my whole life to go there, and so we went on our honeymoon, and it was a life-changing experience for me to see that stuff. You know, my wife bought me a replica hammer of Thor, a silver hammer of Thor that was there's a replica of one that was dug up in a fire pit in Lanzo Meadows. So I mean, pretty amazing. I love that stuff.
Cool, Mike. Thanks a lot.
Hey, my pleasure.
You take care. We'll see you in Quebec City in September, October.
I hope so, man. If I get the invite to go. I had a great time there last year, and I would love to go back. I love Quebec. Everyone treats me so nice here.
So, Quebec, you have to invite Mike Rooth. Take care, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jokingly called my penis Ralph.
Ralph, okay.
Ralph was the name of the small little yappy dog my grandparents used to have. So
Small little yappy dog?
yeah, small little yappy dog. It's like, I'll call him Ralph. Ralph's an adorable name for a little fucking dog. It's like, my penis is adorable.
You said...
My lady would love me, my wife would love me to call it John Jarrett because she's a big fan of Wolf Creek. And I can't say, I grew up watching John Jarrett as a, do you know, no one, you don't know who John Jarrett is.
Well, yeah, no. Wolf
He used
Creek,
to,
yeah.
he used to be
Yeah.
he used to be a children's TV show host as well. So I'm not naming my penis after a children's TV host. That's a little creepy.
But you gave it a name of a cute and little thing.
I thought yes.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, it's just whimsical, you know. It's not a serious name. I don't actually have a real name.
But in Wolf Creek, this guy isn't it it's the killer, right?
Yeah, he's the killer.
But he's all like airy and dirty and everything. Does that something to do about that?
He's rough.
Okay, that's it.
So now you know everything you ever needed to know about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, man.
You're very welcome.
And I hope we'll.
I think
see
there's
you
a
again
rabbit
sometime.
behind you right now.
Yeah, I know you have customers. I have to let you work, right?
No, I think she's just a rabbit.
Oh, that's it. Oh my God. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for according us your time, and
You're welcome. Good
very
luck.
Glad I met you.
Good luck with the sex change too. So
Thank you very much.
bring me my anal beads next time.
Yes, I know. I'm.
And the butt plug. Yeah, I'll give it back to you. Don't worry.
No, you keep it.
Ah.
Bring it to the next convention and then give it back.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.